More than 3 days have passed since the latest balance patch, so in this video we're gonna see what the best performing decks in Hearthstone are right now, so you guys have a better idea of what to play with and against. I'm coming down with a fever or something, definitely not feeling super great right now, but I gotta give you guys the best decks, so if you're serious about Hearthstone and enjoy what I'm doing, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. Now, let's check out the decks.
You are not prepared!
It seems like the latest balance patch gave Pally even more power. Here's the best performing deck right now, and it's running some new stuff including things like Tear, Jitterbug, as well as the Deputization Aura, and it's no longer running the nerfed card, Order in the Court. We also have Living Horizon in here, and we're still pure, and we have some Garden Grace action, so you can really smack people down. We're no longer running Katori in this one, however, so you can't really double up some of those shenanigans. Tear is extremely helpful here because it can resurrect some pretty serious minions, including your Hi-Ho, your Jitterbug, and also some of your Showdown dudes. We have a lot of removal in this one as well, including Keeper's Strength, as well as Prismatic Beam comboed off with Showdown, and that's very serious board control, and you can definitely take the game by storm against board-centric decks. You still have the obvious great one-drops with the Boogie Down. We also have one Hammer in here for a little bit of cycle as well as phase damage, and this is also a holy spell, so it discounts your Garden Grace and whatnot. You have the Countess for some insane high rolls, and Amidas helps a lot as well. We have a single copy of Horn of the Windlord in here, but it's mainly for removal because we're not even running any 4-count losses. Matchup wise, here's what the stats show, and the only bad one would be Control Priest, and not by much. Blood Death Knight is also 50-50, but everything looks solid green. For the mulligan going first, here's what the stats show, and you always want your Boogie Down, the Hi-Ho, Hammer, I wouldn't really keep, like, I'm not sure why this is a keep as much. Deputization Aura, if you already have some stuff on the board, maybe. Hand of Adal I'd only keep if you already have a Sanguine Soldier, or at least the Taunt minion. Jitterbug, again, you gotta be curving into it. And Prismatic Beam, depending on the matchup and if you already have Showdown, maybe it is a good choice as well. As for when on the coin, we have similar stuff, but we can see even things like Living Horizon a bit higher here. And it does make some sense because you will have a bigger hand size here, so it's gonna be dropping faster, I guess. I'd assume Sinful Sous Chef will also help you with that, so you can actually get 2 more cards in your hands, but yeah, the stats are kinda similar. For other good Pally decks, basically take your pick. This is the list I show you, and it's super popular with 65% win rate, but we also have things like 63% win rate with 2400. It's a similar list, basically the same thing, but it also runs Purator. There's also just Aggro Paladins still with Katori and the Countess sitting at 62% with a decent sample size. A Purator Showdown Pally as well, like a lot of things. Urban Paladin is doing insanely well, 60% with 16,000 games. Like, take your pick, seriously. Pally is still out of control, and I really think they should have nerfed it harder the first time, or at least add another nerf with the second batch, because this is gonna be dominating for quite a while now, isn't it? On the number 2 spot, we still have Dragon Druid doing very well. And yeah, if you want to be climbing easily, Dragon Druid is definitely another great deck you could be picking up alongside Pally. This variant is even running things like Alexstrasza for even extra damage from hand, so even if you lose the board around those turns, you're still able to clutch it from hand like that as soon as turn 8 or even turn 7 if you got this through your Summer Flower Child, and you also have an Innervate or a coin. The rest of the deck looks pretty standard. The other interesting thing is the couple of Amalgams, which can give you some extra stuff, and it's pretty nice to have Amalgams because you basically play this and you still have a dragon again in your hand, and you have a shot at finding some extra stuff like another Fae, like another Desert Nest Matron, or another Golem. You could even find Splish Splash that way if it's so elusive for you so you can't find it, so that can definitely help with the ramp too. Matchup wise, again, pretty solid stuff, but Pally is actually going to be hard for you, especially the versions with double Urber and double Prismatic, so be careful if you're seeing too many Pallys out there. As for the mulligan, here's what the stats show again, and yeah, Splish Splash is always a no-brainer, best card in the deck. Cactus Construct is huge. Take to the Skies, it's also not a bad keep apparently. Desert Nest Matron I would only keep if I already have some good stuff like Splish Splash. Dragon Golem I wouldn't really keep when starting. Amber Whelp, depends on the matchup, like if you're expecting a high priority target, maybe you could keep that as well. And if you're curving out, Summer Flower Child can also be a keep. Don't get baited into keeping Usher on Gardens, it's really not something you want to be doing on turn 1, especially when going first, because you're only going to be buffing 3 cards max. And that's really not what you want to be doing with this. You kind of want to be buffing the Dragon Golem so you can make him out of range for some good removals and whatnot, so try to hold on to this and definitely don't keep it in your mulligan. Like, it's okay to play it on turn 1 if you top deck it, but definitely don't shoot yourself in the foot keeping it. As for 1 on the coin, again, Splish Splash amazing, Desert Nest Matron is great, but be careful not to coin this out on turn 3 expecting you're gonna get 4 mana back, because you're not. It's only gonna refresh your full mana crystals, which would be free, so take that into consideration. Spinetail Drake would be an interesting choice as well, depending on the matchup. Like, if you're expecting a high priority target again and you need 5 damage, you could be doing this as soon as turn 3 so you can block the opponent's onslaught. Asheron Garden here is a bit more keepable, but really not by much. I would still rather see some other stuff, honestly. And Cactus Construct, I say, is still fine, and I guess Take to the Sky is also not horrible. Summer Flower Child can also be a consideration. As for other good Dragon Druid decks, we have very small sample size for this Highlander list. There's also Trend Druid doing quite well again, with things like cultivation and whatnot. And there's also this new Fire Druid out there, which can do some serious OTKs, but I really think the skill cap for that deck is quite high to make it work, and it's not that good to begin with. Like, it definitely looks like a fun deck, but so far we don't even have stats for it seems. And I'd advise you to probably stay away from it, because even the pro players are having like mediocre results, something like less than 50-50, so be careful not to get baited. On the number 3 spot, we have Highlander Shaman. And yeah, Highlander Shaman has been pretty solid for quite a while now, and this is one of the best lists out there right now. Let's start off with the ETC, because you guys always seem to miss that part. But in this one, we have Framesture, a Viper, as well as Turn the Tides. Be careful with any of these if you decide to actually slap in Finley in this deck, because God knows Finley feels nice in this one. Because if you pick a second card of these, you do run those in your deck. So what I'm trying to say is don't play ETC, pick one of these, and then shuffle them back into your deck, because you're no longer going to be Highlander unless you get lucky to get the other copy. Same can be said with Schooling. Like, it does sound like a good idea to play Schooling and then Finley so you can draw even extra cards like that, but you're no longer Highlander, so yeah, that's not worth. Anyway, Highlander Shaman, I've already done a very detailed guide about this deck. You can go ahead and check it out. It's like 20 minutes long, very deep detail, so yeah, go ahead, check it out and see if it sparks joy for you. It's not a cheap deck, but it's definitely very fun and very strong. Matchup wise, here's what the stats show, and Plague Death Knight is going to be annoying for you because you're no longer going to be Highlandering against them in most cases, and you're good against Paladins, so you got that going for you, which is nice. Mulligan wise, here's what the stats show, and yeah, Holiday is gonna be amazing. The Titan apparently is pretty high on the keep list. I don't know, if I'm not curving into it, I'm not really gonna hold it. Greedy Partner, however, is pretty nice. Framester, especially if you're expecting another Highlander against you. Shockhopper, a pretty good one drop. Reno could be a keep, especially if the matchup warrants it. Carving Chisel can be great. Jam Session as well could make some sense against things like Paladins, let's say. Schooling definitely is great, and yeah, the others are gonna be kind of situational. Like, if you're already curving out, you can keep Backstage Bouncer, and that can be insanely good. And depending on the matchup turn, the Tides can also be important. Primordial Wave might be interesting against things like potential Plague Knights, so you can actually revolve their 2-mana Kvaldir. But yeah, be smart about what you keep, and when on the coin, the situation is not much different. Yeah, it's basically the same stuff. Trusty Companion becomes a bit more keepable, but I'm not really sure I'd hold it too much. I guess if I already have a Shockhopper, I could consider it. If I already have Schooling, I could consider it especially. But other than that, it's probably a situational thing. Framester is still great. Backstage Bouncer becomes even more keepable, especially if you have the Carving Chisel, that's gonna be great. Dr. Holiday is still great, same for Reno. On the number 4 spot, we have the exact opposite, which is Plague Death Knight. And Plague Death Knight has been doing extremely well against Highlander decks out there, and even when people play Steam Cleaner against them, you can still win very easily against them, because the Plagues are a cool little gimmick. You get the tempo out and really make the opponent's life miserable, but your opponent is gonna, a lot of the times, have to spend like 9 mana to actually clear those, because they run it usually in an ETC, and the Steam Cleaner alone costs 5 mana, so all you gotta do is keep the tempo going so you don't get totally screwed by them having the Steam Cleaner on time. And even if they do have the Steam Cleaner on time, you might even consider keeping some Plagues lined up for a situation like that so you can keep on shuffling. Even if they Steam Clean you, the Heli effect still is gonna remain for the new Plagues you shuffle in, so if you keep another Down with the Ship and another Kvaldir, let's say, you should be able to make him on Highlander again. Anyway, this deck is also running the Excavation package, and Reska is absolutely insane in this one. As you guys know, the level 4 treasure you get is the 4 mana 5/5 rat that revives your highest cost minion, gives it +2/+2, lifesteal and reborn. But don't forget it doesn't give rush, so if you don't have something like Burrow Buster, something like Chain Guardian, something like Reska, don't expect to get rush out of it. Like if you played a Skeleton Crew as your biggest minion, in some cases it might feel good for you to get this as a 5/5 rush Reborn Lifesteal, but no, it's not Rush Reborn Lifesteal, it's just Reborn Lifesteal, and that's not gonna help you out in most cases. So yeah, try to have a Burrow Buster, a Chain Guardian, or a Reska already in if you're gonna be begging for healing. We also have Finley in this one, so you can find your Helia faster in most cases, but you can also find Giants quicker like that, which can be pretty powerful if you already shuffled a bunch of Plagues. So yeah, all around the deck is pretty nice, pretty fun, and you can check out my latest video to see how I played with it. Matchup-wise, we don't have that much stats, and they don't really look anything to write home about. We can check out the last 30 days to get a bigger picture, and it's really not that big, but as I said, against Highlander decks, you're gonna be very fun. Mulligan-wise, here's what the stats show, and we're gonna have to go with the kept traits. Obviously, Helia is always gonna be a no-brainer, same with the staff, same with the Distress Cavalier. Kobold Miner is also great, Chillfallen Baron can make the cut. Down with the Ship, also great, and after that you can start considering things like Nerubian Vizier. Reap what you sow, I don't really keep much, honestly, like, I only would keep the Kobold Miner as Excavate in most cases. Dome Trader, depending on the matchup, might make some sense, however, and I'm no stranger to keeping Sir Finley if I already don't have Helia in hand, because if you don't have Helia, you'd much rather play this on turn 1 and basically have a second mulligan phase that way. So this is basically a safety net for you if you have a sucky mulligan. As for one on the coin, the situation is not much different. Again, all of the play cards are great, same Kobold, same Chillfallen. Yeah, it's literally the same thing, like, I don't think there's even a single change here, like, just a few positions swapped here and there, but nothing dramatic. For other good Death Knights, we have different variations of Plague Death Knight with smaller sample size, like this one's looking interesting with some Frost action going. Blood Death Knight is also doing quite well, actually. This is a Highlander variant. We also have different variations of that Highlander variant. And yeah, right now it's basically Plague Death Knight or Highlander, nothing in between. And on the last spot we actually have Highlander Hunter, which has pretty good stats with a very big sample size. Honestly, I haven't seen this deck too much against me, but I would follow the stats here, like, definitely are looking great, like almost 59% win rate with above 2000 games, so from Diamond to Legend definitely should be able to take you there. The deck is a 40 Highlander, so there are plenty of cards in here, but basically it's the old Count Beast Hunter from back in the day, and it has a bunch of extra cards included. You can grab the code, look at it for yourself, I'm not gonna go through all the cards. We even have things like Thunderbringer in here, and you could be chaining it through the help of a Selective Breeder that way, so you can summon some sick elementals like Neptulon, Ragnaros, and obviously your good beasts. We are running the other good Highlander payoff cards, the Teldarin the Lost. But yeah, check out the deck and see if you like it. Matchup wise, the stats are as follows. Pally is not going to be super amazing for you, aside from Highlander Pally, which is not very popular, but still gives you a good idea of what you should be expecting against each matchup. Here's the mulligans going first, and yeah, you want your quick 1-drops. Posit can be great if you're curving into it. Frenzied Fangs are nice. On curve, you don't want to really infuse these, like ain't nobody got time for that. Spirit Poacher is nice. Barrel of Monkeys, Gold Banner. Depending on the matchup, Hollowhound might be a keep. Titan Forge definitely makes sense. Arrowlong can be a keep as well if you're curving into it, and same can be said for Reno in most cases. I'm no stranger to keeping Musician. Teldarin can also be pretty interesting. And Greedy Partner also makes sense. Costume Singer on turn 1, always a great play if you ask me. And I don't think Trend Mechanic is that bad either, so yeah, all of these green cards are very acceptable keeps. And if you already have some good 1-drops, you might even consider things like Doggy Biscuit, like Selective Breeder, like heck, even a Connie. As for On the Coin, again, same stuff, but Reno becomes a lot more keepable here, same with Teldarin, so you can win the board back. Hound as well can be a good keep, but again, it takes a certain opponent, you don't keep it always. Spirit Poacher, great. The Sneaky Snakes, Trinket Tracker. The Titan can be a keep if you're curving, but yeah, all around same stuff. The ETC has a second copy of Hollowhound, Faithful, and Star Power again. For other good Hunter decks, like I said, this one has very solid stats, 4000 games, 58.4%. We still have the Cleave Hound Hunter doing quite well, even though the sample size is quite small. There's also this new Death Rattle Hunter that I've showed you recently, which is not bad at all, but it's kind of feeling like a meme just yet. Still 56%, not meme to me. And Arcane Hunter is still out there, but it's not what it used to be. For the classes we haven't mentioned, starting off with Demon Hunter, Aggro Demon Hunter is actually doing still solid in top 1000, which means you basically have to be really good at the game to actually play this deck, so craft with caution, even though it's quite cheap to craft it actually, 0 legendaries, so keep that in mind. With Mage, we still have Rainbow Mage doing decent results, but nothing close to what it used to be. And the most popular lists are hovering around 55, so I guess the job is done with just nerfing that card, even though a lot of people were skeptical it was enough. So far it seems decent. With Priest we have Undead Priest at the top, Highlander Priest is also playable it seems, and same can be said for Control Priest, but it's not that amazing. There's also this new weird Naga Priest apparently. I did face it and I have no idea what the hell I'm playing against, and I still kinda don't. But yeah, it still has the Serpent Twig, it still has the Priestess Valish, so I guess it does some of those old shenanigans we all hated back in the day. But hey, a little bit variance for Priest ain't gonna kill nobody. As for Rogue, Mech Rogue still seems to be the best deck. We also have Secret Rogue doing acceptably well again, which is kinda interesting. There's also this weird Big Rogue list. I haven't really seen this one out, but not even sure why the hell it's called Big, ain't nothing big about it. Miracle Rogue is also out there with Draka, but nothing that amazing in terms of the win rate. For Warlock, we have Highlander Warlock doing okay. Like, I kinda don't get playing Warlock as a Highlander right now. Like, you can't even make a good 30 list, let alone 40. But I guess it's not far from the good decks in terms of win rate. Even though the sample size is quite small, it might be worth checking out. Honestly, a lot of people have been asking me to play this. Maybe I will soon, we'll see. Thaddeus Warlock is still doing acceptably well. Mining Warlock, however, nothing close to what it used to be. And on the last spot we have Warrior still sitting with good and Rage Warrior stats. Control Warrior is also still decent. Rock and Roll Warrior, however, still not that amazing, honestly, like 53% win rate. I guess it's kinda fine. We also have Control Warrior with a very populated sample size, not that high win rate though, so there's that. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing in the days to come after the latest patch. If you enjoyed the video and you're serious about Hearthstone, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. Thanks for watching, I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.